Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing really well as always. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about 3 of my dream guitars, okay? So stick around and let's get to it. So we've all been there. We've all had guitars that we've all aspired to eventually owning someday. I've been really lucky over the years because a lot of the guitars that I've wanted I've actually been fortunate enough to own. For one reason or another, people ask me where I get some of my guitars from because they're quite rare to find now. The answer has always been quite simple. I bought them at the time they came out, and they were actually around and on shop shelves and stuff like that. Some of them I had to wait a long time for. Other ones were just on websites ready to go. For instance, the Jackson Rhodes Matt Tuck signature. That was literally around to buy at the time. Some of the other guitars, though, were a little bit difficult to find. The White Snakebite, that was a tricky one. The BC Rich, waited, I think, a year for that. And the Lee Mallia guitar, again, I had to wait around for that thing because the date that was going to be released just kept getting pushed back. But overall, yes, I've 100% been lucky to own some of the guitars that I've always wanted. But that doesn't mean to say that... you know, I've owned absolutely everything I've ever wanted, and we've all got it, where there's certain guitars that for one reason or another we aspire to have, but whether it comes down to affordability or just whether you can't find them anymore, we've all got those guitars that we would one day absolutely love to have, and we dream about having them someday. So I'm going to talk about 3 of mine today, okay? So starting off right at the top, we're going to start with the absolute unattainable right now, and I think... a lot of people might share this one with me. Let me know down below what you think. But that's this guitar right here. So that is the or rather the ESP MX-220. So a lot of you guys know that from the sort of 1989 era Metallica. This sort of off-white, really hunky, big fat Explorer. It still does it for me to this day. It just takes me back to all those years ago where I'd go into school and I'd download music videos off of Google Video when that was a thing, right? Because I didn't have the internet at home growing up. So once I got like the bug for Metallica and stuff like that, I had to go into school and use the internet to find stuff out about those guys. And you could download music videos back then off of Google Video. So I'd take my MP3 player, which was like a USB thing. It would come out into 2 parts, right? So it was like a USB stick. Put that into the computers and download like music videos. And a lot of the stuff that I downloaded was 1989 Metallica, which is like, speaks for itself. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. No explanation needed here. Just Metallica in their prime, right? And yeah, it really takes me back to that sort of discovery of that band. And James just sort of lurching over his microphone with his big fat guitar. And up to that point, I'd only owned like normal shaped guitars. I'd had my first guitar, my Strat knockoff, which we all sort of start with. Then I had an Ibanez Super Strat, which a lot of us move on to, sort of like a low end one. But I hadn't really discovered my taste in guitars at that point, which is like these big fat weapons, right? This was like the first I'd seen that really sort of like did it for me. I think it was a combination of both, really. You know, just like this awesome music with James looking badass, you know, stud bellowing into the microphone with this big monstrous F-off white guitar. And yeah, for me to this day, it raises the hairs on the back of my neck to still see it. I would absolutely love to own one of these bad boys one day, because with all like the lawsuit stuff with Gibson, and they were sort of, you know, they did typical Gibson thing, and they were like, hey, stop making our shapes with ESP. These guitars were like discontinued. They did do the MX-250 after this one. So the MX-250 was like this, but it wasn't so rounded, and it was a little bit more pointy. You'll see James rocking those more sort of coming forward into 90s era Metallica. But to me, that's the one right there, the MX-220. So yeah, so like I said, you will find like knockoff versions of these now and then, but apparently they're not built to last. It's not the same thing. And also you will every now and then find one of the original ones. In fact, up until recent months, because I always keep an eye out on Reverb, there was one of these sat there on Reverb, and I think it was going for about £33,000, right? 33 grand. Right, so you convert that into wherever you are, but that's, you know, I get sometimes like spending out on guitars and stuff, but that's like an unreal amount. But and because of what they are and how rare they are, you know, I understand it's like a collector's thing at this point, but come on, man. Who's going to pay 33 grand for that? But there you go. There's my number one sort of unattainable dream guitar, because like I said, they are out there every now and then. They do pop up, but you know, they're super expensive when they do. But to me, that is pretty much one of the coolest guitars. I prefer the shape of it to a traditional Gibson as well. I like how the headstock is a lot fatter on it. I don't know, they just really knocked it out of the park with that shape. So that's my number one. That's kind of like my ultimate unattainable dream guitar, if you like. And going back to the whole Seattle 1989 thing, just the impression that made on me as a young person discovering Metallica and heavy music and stuff is this really cool picture that I was gifted. It's a custom painting. Okay, so you won't find that picture anywhere else, or watercolors or whatever the hell it is they've done to make it. But either way, it's absolutely amazing. And yeah, that was custom drew for me as a present. The person who had it commissioned for me said, like, you know, on the sly a little bit earlier on, what's your favorite picture of Metallica? Or is there like a Metallica picture that's you know, your favorite, like an iconic picture? What is the thing? And I said, anything from 1989. James with the white Explorer. It has to be the MX-220. It has to have the sticker on it. You know, it's just that concert. So you can screenshot basically anything from that concert, and that is it. I'd be happy. And lo and behold, I got this as a present. Like I said, it was custom painted for me, and it just it made me quite emotional on the day when I got it, because it just stood for like all those years of exploring and getting into Metallica and the 1999 show and being young, and you know, getting those music videos in school and then bringing them home and putting them on my computer and just obsessing and idolizing the guys and wanting their guitars and all that stuff. So that guitar and that picture, I guess, it stands for a lot for me in terms of like my musical journey, if you like. So there you go, guys. That's my number one. We're going to move on to my number two now. Now, this is going to be quite... a lot of you are probably going to roll your eyes at this and say, you know, oh God, here we go. The Matt Tuck fanboy strikes again. Yes, but no. Okay. So my next dream guitar, if you like, is this black Gibson ebony custom shop. Okay. Now, yes, I know who's playing them right now, but I'm gonna go into where it sort of came from, because I've been into this guitar for a long time. So ages back, I'm not too sure when it was. I think it was around 2017 or something like that. Richie Faulkner was at the guitar show, Birmingham, I believe. And he bought one of these Gibson ebony custom shops, whatever you want to call them, right? And he posted it on his Instagram. I think there's a little post that he put out. So there it is at the Music Zoo for this 2017. That's the year Golden Coast Guitar Show. So it wasn't Birmingham. I was way off there. I don't know where I got that from. But yeah, that's New York, I think. Thanks to EMG Pickups. Lovely people showing up and listening to all my yakking. Truly great people with lots of heart and passion for all things guitar. Ran into this beauty also, Explorer Custom. Can't really say no, can I? And there you go. He went and bought it. The moment I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I'd never seen such a pretty Explorer before, I don't think. Now, I'm a huge fan of Explorers, obviously, because of the James Hetfield thing, but I was never, ever into Gibson Explorers. I don't know, just the black Explorers with the white scratch plate and stuff like that, it just never really did it for me. It was more James's ones with the big fat headstocks, no scratch plate. I don't know, it was more that did it for me. There was just something a little honky and a bit bland about normal Gibson Explorers. This is right up my street, right? And it was at the time when I saw it back in 2017. You know, binding. I'm a sucker for binding. I love binding. That's my problem with most Gibson Explorers. The shape of them, there's just no definition on them. They're just like this big clump of wood. Now, I know the MX-220 doesn't have binding, but it's white, so swings and roundabouts, right? But the black with the white binding and then the gold hardware as well, man, it just... yeah, it's flashy, it's classy, it's just always really done it for me. So yeah, I've wanted that for many years now, since 2017. And I did look them up at the time, and they're quite rare to find. I think, like it says there in his little quote, Explorer Custom, with a question mark on it. I don't think Gibson were sort of manufacturing them in the custom shop. It was like a one-off, maybe at the time. Coming forward into recent years, though, they are available to buy. but they weren't at the time. So I kind of wrote it off as just this thing that was, again, aspirational. It was never going to happen. Moving forward into 2021, and I'm laughing because you guys who know me and, you know, like my love of certain bands and stuff like that. Lo and behold, this guy turns up playing one. And I was like, come on, man. You know, it's like, okay, so if you're new here, I'm a big Bulk My Valentine fan. I'm a huge Matt Tuck fan. I absolutely love his guitars. I'm very fortunate to own 2 of his signature guitars. And going into this whole YouTube thing, when I set this channel up and I started doing a lot of Bulk My Valentine stuff, I was very conscious I was going to get this reputation as this Matt Tuck fanboy, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of the guy, but for God's sake, I don't, you know, not to some sort of strange level where I'm just obsessed. But, you know, I love the guy's taste in guitars. I love the way the guy writes. I love the way he sings. You know, he's an inspiration on me, just like James Hetfield, Zach Wilde, Tony Iommi, you know. But Matt's taste in guitars and everything that he's done with guitars, they've all just had this sort of flashy, sort of classy feel. And here we go. Obviously, this is a very flashy, sort of classy looking Explorer with the binding, the gold hardware and stuff. And lo and behold, after all this time of me wanting that Gibson, he's turned up with one. He had it custom made for himself from the custom shop at Gibson, I believe, because that guitar comes with Gibson pickups. Humbuck is right. They routed the back out for him and put EMG pickups in for him. So it's not just a standard custom shop off the line. There are little bits here and there that he's had changed or customized to his taste. He's moved the strap button. These Explorers now, they're in the custom shop. They're being manufactured now. There's a few of them floating around on the internet. Strap button, the front one, it's usually sort of on the front face of the guitar. You can see in the pictures here, he's had it moved to the back. So that thing was custom built for him. Not necessarily as a signature model, I don't think, but it's just something that he wanted to have. But I think it's just ironic how he turned up playing one of those things, and I'd wanted one for so long. And the other funny thing was as well, since he's on a bit of an Explorer stint, he also bought a white snakebite as well, or 2 of them. So there's another guitar that I've got that he owns as well. So it's like, oh great, that's really going to go in favor for me with this whole Matt Tuck fanboy sort of thing that might be being put across here. But the only thing I would change on it personally is there's no binding on the headstock. I like binding like right the way around the damn thing. Like personally, I think it just gives everything much more definition. And I think if there was a little bit of binding around the headstock, that would just top it off. But anyways, that's a stunning guitar, something I've wanted for a very long time. And you see some pictures here of Matt Tuck looking super badass with it. So unlike the last guitar, which is the unattainable, this is very attainable. If you've got a big bank account, these are going for around £4,599. Okay, so you do your conversion to wherever you are in the world, which is a ludicrous amount of money. I don't think I'm going to be getting one anytime soon. Let's just put it that way. I think, again, it's just Gibson charging what they want because they can. It is custom shop, but we know in this day and age, everything that comes out the custom shop isn't absolutely refined. That's a whole storm that I'm not going to get into. Yeah, because some of you guys may be completely pro Gibson. I'm not pro Gibson. I just love that guitar. I hate Les Pauls. I can't play them. You guys know that. Usually traditional Gibson Explorers don't do it for me. It's just that guitar that I love. But would I be willing to find, that kind of money or part with a kidney to pay for that? Probably not. And I'll show you why. Here's another reason as well. So as some of you know, I've got this guitar, which is the Lee Malia Epiphone Custom Artisan. And looking at that, it's basically the same guitar, but with like I think it's a walnut top finish. Yes, it's not custom built, you know. Yes, it's Epiphone written on the headstock. It's not exactly the same. But for a long time, I wanted that guitar. As soon as they were announced, I put my order in for one of those because I love Explorers, love Bring Me the Horizon. And it was around that sort of time that Richie bought his ebony black Explorer. So I was like, oh, that's cool. That's sort of similar in a way. That guitar cost me about 700 quid, right? It's hanging on the wall behind me. You can see it. So about 700 quid for basically the same guitar. Yeah. So if we go back to the last one, what's that coming in at? 4,599. So the same guitar with different inlays and a black paint job. Yeah. Compared to the 700 quid I paid for that, which I think is absolutely stunning. Yes, the pickups are different. Yes, it's not built in a custom shop. It's off a factory line, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a very cool Explorer. It's got the binding on it, Okay, so and it's even got the binding on the headstock as well, which is like a huge sell point for me as well. It's got the gold hardware. So, you know, I've sat for the last couple of months, especially since Matt Tuck's been playing them, thinking, oh man, you know, it's given me, now they're out there and they're available to buy, it's like, oh man, I wish I could have one. But then I just, you know, sort of looked up at the wall behind me and I was like, mate, you've got that guitar basically in a different finish. Like, be grateful. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, 700 quid, 5 grand or whatever it was, 4.5. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm very fortunate to own one of those because they're hard to find now as well. So there we go. That's my second guitar on the list with a little bit of irony tied to it. But yeah, 2017, man, when Richie started playing that, I was just like, that's something I'd really like to own one day. So moving on to my third dream guitar, if you like. The last guitar, yes, we are moving well on our way into Bullet My Valentine and Matt Tuck world here, of course, in true fashion. So, I kind of own this guitar. It's quite funny because a lot of the guitars on this list, I own sort of like ambiguations of these guitars. So for instance, the Snakebite on the wall behind me, the James Hetfield guitar, you know, it's not quite the MX-220, but still it's got James Hetfield tied to it. It's based on the Explorer. It's white. Lee Mallier Explorer is very similar to the Gibson that I've just been waffling on about. It's just got a different paint job on it, a different logo on the headstock, not built in a custom shop, but hey, the thing plays slamming and it sounds great. And this guitar, the BC Rich Matt Tuck signature, I don't give an F. Can we swear and still monetize? I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. But yeah, this guitar. Okay, so back in 2012, Matt Tuck did a side project called Axe Wound. And this was kind of like the Axe Wound guitar, even though he'd moved on from Jackson. There was this weird period around the Fever era where, coming to the back end of the Fever tour, Matt Jackson's disappeared. He smashed his black one up. I think it was a Download Festival, maybe. I'm not too sure. Because he didn't stay in tune. What a waste of a guitar, because apparently he was having tuning problems right the way through that set. And then his Jacksons disappeared, and out came these BC Rich Vs. Not off-the-shelf ones either, odd ones, like custom made for him with his sort of silver sparkle paint jobs and stuff. So he moved over onto BC Rich, and there was all these rumors about a signature guitar coming out. And me at the time, being sort of a big fan and stuff, and every day I'm like Googling it, where is this signature guitar? You could see little hints and odd little pictures of something in the works. I remember they added Matt Tuck to the BC Rich website, but it was like, signature guitar coming soon. They didn't have his signature guitars on there yet. It was very sort of cloak and dagger. They didn't show us what they were. Then the Axe Wound show started to happen, his side project that he started in 2012. And these things came out. You know what? It's really funny because I was like, oh, you know, I've been so used to seeing him with the Jackson for so long. And I was like, what is that? It looks terrible. Anyway, watched the footage, and the more and more I looked at it, the more and more I sort of, the more and more I did, it just started like doing it for me. Now you guys might be saying to me, well, come on now, what's your problem? We all want one of those, because a lot of people have messaged me saying, where the hell did you get yours? There's one on the wall hanging behind you. Why are you being ungrateful? Yes, I know, I have one. I'm one of those lucky people. Like I said, I put the order in as soon as it was announced. I had to wait over a year for the thing to come. That's how I attained it. And I am 100% lucky to be one of the people who owns one. But this thing, it's different because this was custom built. There was actually 4 customs, I believe. There was this one, there was a copper finish one, and then there was a white one with black beveling, and a reverse one of that black one with white beveling as well, but custom built for him. The factory ones are the purple ones that you see to this day, and also the very elusive silver ones. Now, yes, these are very hard to find now. If one does pop up, you'll find a purple one, and a lot of the time they are sadly bashed up to all hell. Lastly, the silver one, like I said, very elusive. It's very close to the custom sort of marble top one that Matt's got. Yeah, this guitar, there's just something about it. It's a big piece of sort of Bullet My Valentine, Matt Tuck history, I guess. I think it just looks like an absolute weapon. I absolutely love the finish on it, this strange sort of marble grey top thing going on with it. It's got the black beveling, which is absolutely awesome. The cool black scratch plate binding on the headstock. I love guitars that have got that definition, the binding around the headstock, and the beveling sort of around the V shape as well, just really gives it definition. And of course, those really Maybe controversial, provocative, divisive, but badass nonetheless. Inlays going right up the boards. Again, that's an ambiguation of a guitar that I have, but goddamn, that is such a cool looking guitar. There's only one of those in the world that was built for him. Like I said, the only similar one that you could get is the Silver Sparkle one, but good luck finding one of those, because they are rare as anything, and when you do find them, they're going for quite a lot of money these days. The other reason why I like that guitar so much is owning the purple one. That is without doubt my favorite guitar that I've ever owned and probably ever will own. The reason why I would want another one of it is because, you know, it's just so perfect. I've been using it for my Lost Cause shows with my band, but I'm kind of getting a little bit, I don't know, a little bit freaked out. When I'm taking it out with me, there's only one of those. I'm probably only ever going to be getting one of those, right? It's not replaceable. And, you know, if that gets stolen after a show, touch wood, you know, or just banged up and dinged up. Don't get me wrong, they're built quite sturdy. It's a very sturdy guitar, but, you know, if something goes wrong with it, or like I said, if it goes missing because somebody in the audience knows what it is and for some reason it goes missing or whatever, I would just be heartbroken and devastated. So it would have been cool to maybe own another one that I didn't care so much about. I don't know, because that guitar for me, it sits perfect on me. It sounds great. It feels great. The neck is right. If I was to ever have a signature guitar built, I would basically want it to be a carbon copy of that, if as far as I could push it, because for me, it's just the perfect guitar. Whether Matt Tuck's name was tied to it or not, I just think it looks super unique with the headstock and the great big sort of like rounded out V. I'm really picky when it comes to guitars, which is why the few that I've owned, I've stuck with, and I don't plan on changing them. I don't have like this revolving door of guitars that just comes and goes. What I buy, I buy it to stick with it and buy it to last, and that guitar's lasted me a long time now. And yeah, so I guess the ultimate version of it to own would be that I don't give a tuck. I'll see myself out. But yeah, I don't give an F. BC Rich Custom, whatever it is, Flying V. I think it's just a monster of a guitar. So there we go, guys. That's my top 3 dream aspirational guitars that I would love to own. Some of them may be doable if I won the lottery. Some of them are just downright elusive. You know, you can't find them anymore. But I'm interested to know. I'd like to hear from you guys down in the comments. What are your 3 dream guitars that you'd love to own? Are they something that's doable if you just save up that amount of money, or is it one of those situations where they just don't exist anymore, and when they do exist, they're going for a stupid amount of money, or they're all beaten up to hell, and it's an absolute shame when you do find them, because unfortunately, like I said, especially with those purple Vs, if you're going to find one of those Matt Tuck guitars, a lot of the time, it'll be a purple one, odd occasion a silver. The silver ones are generally in good condition, because I don't know, people seem to just knew what they were and they've looked after them, but the purple ones, when you find them, they're bashed up to hell, and it just breaks my heart. So let me know, guys. I really want to hear from you. What are your top 3 dream guitars down in the comments? So there you go, guys. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Check out my Patreon page. You can head on over there, get involved more with what's coming on the channel, submit requests, let me know what you want to see on here. You can also go over there and vote for the next song that I'm going to do for a full guitar lesson and song breakdown. Also, before I go as well, check out my band, A Lost Cause. A lot of you guys have already checked out our debut single, but if you haven't, the link is down below for my band's debut single. And until next time, guys, stay well, take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.